Hello everyone, welcome back. It's another Wednesday morning, which means it's time for another Impact review. We're getting closer and closer to Bound for Glory. 24 days away, I believe we are right now from Bound for Glory. And it's going to be a good show. It's going to be a very, very good show. So, as always, let me get up my trusted notes app and let's just crack on with it. The show opened with Taya and Rosemary teaming up to take on Havoc and Nevaeh. After last week, Taya said she would help Rosemary with her problems before they would deal with Tasha Steelz and Kiera Hogan. And this is a good fun match to open up the show. There was a lot of it was weird. So Taya was acting on her own like a single star for quite a lot of the match, and almost completely ignoring Rosemary on the outside. But whenever she would tag in, it was sort of quick tags, and then it was more Taya and quick tags and more Taya. Eventually, Nevaeh and Havoc took the upper hand, beat down Rosemary for quite a while. Kept trying to get back. Eventually did, tagged out to Taya, some good double teams, and then Taya was able to hit the Road to Valhalla on Nevaeh for the win. And after the match, she was jumped by Tasha Steelz and Kiera Hogan, which I found weird because they seemed to be friendly with Rosemary or want to be involved in the wedding, but then came out and jumped. I don't know, but I'm also confident in Impact's storytelling ability, which I am not confident if this was a WWE storyline. I'd be like, this is where it's going now, I guess, and we're just going to have to deal with the fact that these people who were being nice to each other a couple of weeks ago are now going to hate each other. But hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll work. I'm excited for the wedding as well. Still don't know when the wedding is. Hopefully it's before Bound for Glory. I'm excited to see. I'm very excited for the wedding. The Good Brothers were backstage doing what they do every single week. And what they do every single week, if you've not been watching the show, is it cuts to them and they're telling some security guards a story about Japan and everyone's laughing. And no wonder Heath's been able to sneak in as much as he has. And the Motorcycle Machine Guns come over and they're like, look, can we speak to your agents? Because we want to get a contract where we can come in and be the top guys and get paid a lot of money just to talk shit and tell some stories. And then Anderson and Alex Shelley get in each other's faces and sort of trade off, have a few barbs at each other. And as the Motorcycle Machine Guns walk away, Carl Anderson turns into Doc Gallows and he goes, hey, what's the finisher called? And Gallows goes, I don't know, probably some kind of flip. And then Anderson goes, yeah, it's a cool finisher, can't wait to kick out at 2. And this is a good segment. Hopefully now this means we will be seeing more Good Brothers wrestling. And obviously later on in the night they had a match with the Rascalz, but we'll get to that when we get to that. After that then we had Deonna Purrazzo backstage being interviewed talking about how she's better than Kylie Ray and she's better in the women's division, how at Bound for Glory she's going to break Kylie's arm. But then Gia jumped in and said, well, before Bound for Glory you have to get through Victory Road this weekend where you'll be wrestling Susie. And that'll be good. I'm excited for that. There was more Susie stuff later on, which we'll get to. But yeah, everything that's happening in the Knockouts division with Kylie, Susie, Deonna, Kimberly, Tenille, Jordan Grace, there's such a stacked top of the card. And then as well, you've got Taya Valkyrie, you've got Rosemary. It's the best women's division in the world. And I'm very excited to see, what happens now and what happens after. Moose is still on the hunt for his TNA World Heavyweight Championship, and he was walking backstage and he grabbed someone. I said, where's EC3? He goes, he's in his locker room over there. So he walked into his locker room and there is a big buff dude in a hoodie sat on a chair, so he runs over and he grabs him. Just a security guard who then tells Moose he's going to HR. But then EC3 appears again on the screen holding the title and he goes, you've not found me, you've not found the title. It looks like I'm going to have to set your title on fire and give it the funeral. Give it the death it deserves, the funeral it deserves. So next week he invited Moose to a funeral for the Impact for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. And this will be fun. This will be a lot of fun. I missed out actually in my notes, I overlooked a bit. In between Deonna Purrazzo and Moose, we had a match. And it was Jordan Grace versus Tenille Dashwood in a rematch from last week. And this time, Jordan came at the blocks a lot quicker. Last week she wasn't really able to mount a lot of offense before Tenille or would come back mostly from distraction with Caleb with a K. And this was a much more back and forth match. It was very good. There was a lot of sort of interference, but Jordan was more prepared for it this time. Just a lot of brutal looking kicks from Tenille. A lot of just amazing offense from Jordan Grace, because she is, one of my favourite wrestlers in the world. And eventually she was able to put Tenille away with a sleeper hold, as Jordan went over to was distracted by Caleb Conley. She came in and rolled her back, and as she had the schoolboy, or the schoolgirl, not schoolgirl, the little corner roll locked in, Jordan kicked her feet out and choked her out with a sleeper hold. And a very good match. There's not been a lot of wrestling on Impact lately the past few weeks. It's been very promo heavy shows, but the matches have been very solid belt to belt, and you don't really notice it. I don't tend to notice it till I'm reading my reviews and I'm seeing promo match, because the promos are so short and the matches are so good and well structured, and it doesn't feel like Raw when it's half an hour promos, 3-minute match. This is that's a 3-minute promo and a 15-minute match, the way it should be. But yeah, this was a very good match. It's good that there are more feuds in the women's division than the title. There's a lot of storylines going on right now, because out with the title, because you've got Kylie and Deonna for the title, but then also sort of linked to that is Kylie and Susie and Su Yung. Also on the other side is the rise of Kimberly. Also you've got the stuff with Taya and Rosemary, as well as stuff with Taya and Tasha and Kira. And then you've got, there's just so much. Obviously you've got Grace and Tenille. It's a great show. It's a very well-rounded division, and they're so good. Looking ahead to Bound for Glory, then, we did have a promo of Rich Swann recovering from his ankle injury, even though he had retired. He came back and it showed him at this gym at a hospital or something with his doctor training. Apparently Rich Swann trains for 16 hours a day, according to his doctor. He says he's there at 6 a.m. to start training and he leaves at 10 p.m. and I don't think he does. I really don't think he does. But the doctors kind of said, as a doctor you never want to be proven wrong, but maybe he can come back from this. The promo ended with the doctor unwrapping the bandages on Rich Swann's ankle and showing off the scar that he got from a surgery that he did have back at the end of last year, and he's saying, yep, looks good. It looks like a healed scar from a surgery you had months ago. It was a weird segment. I don't think Rich Swann should be in the main event of Bound for Glory, but he is, so whatever. Heath and Rhino were backstage now. They were talking about the incredible promo from last week, and Rhino was like, yeah, well, you stole Hernandez's big wad of cash. Did that pay for it all? He goes, nah, I maxed out my credit card, I still got the big wad of cash. And then Heath and Rhino were jumped by Reno Scum and Hernandez and just battered. They took the money back and left. And then Rhino went to find Scott D'Amore and said, look, Heath keeps showing up, and I know he doesn't have a contract, but he was literally assaulted by your men and they stole the money and all this kind of crack. And Scott was like, look, I don't have time for this. Heath's not signed, but if you can get him to sign a waiver at Victory Road, we'll have an unsanctioned match between you two and Reno Scum. So that'll be good. That'll be a lot of fun. It's good. I'm just excited to see Heath wrestle again, because he's great. Heath's amazing. And I'm still not over at Slammiversary when he looked like fucking Godzilla stood next to Rohit. Our third match of the night came up next, and that was the tag match that I talked about before between the Good Brothers and the Rascalz, and this went exactly how you would expect. The match started with Dez and Carl Anderson, and they went to lock up, and Carl Anderson just kicked Dez and just started beating him down. Eventually Dez was able to sort of make his comeback just by being a lot quicker, a lot of quick tags in and out, but eventually the big LG got in, and he is about the size of both of them put together. The Rascalz did put up a valiant effort with lots of incredible moves, because they're amazing. The Good Brothers just reminded me specifically, and I imagine if you watch the show also reminded you why they are highly regarded as one of the best tag teams in the world, and they were eventually able to pick up the win with a magic killer. And after the match, got on the mic and called out the Motor City Machine Guns, and they said, we'll see you at Bound for Glory. And I wouldn't be opposed to that at all, not one wee bit. We then go to a weird backstage segment with Brian Myers and Tommy Dreamer. So Brian Myers is walking through the halls and he opens a door and then he sees Tommy and they lock eyes all intense, and then some copyright-free Western music starts playing, and they walk up to each other, and they start squaring up. And like Myers said last week, you know, the next time he sees him, he's for it. And Tommy starts like choking him out, throws him against the wall, and Myers like, this is very unprofessional. Let him have a match. That's what I was worried about. I didn't want this to happen at Bound for Glory, but it's not happening at Bound for Glory. This weekend, Brian Myers is wrestling Tommy Dreamer at Victory Road. And yeah, I'm excited for that. This was a weird segment, but it was a fun segment. It had all the chaotic LSD energy of Rascalz, so I was a fan. And speaking of Rascalz, the next match was the match to determine the bestest man at Johnny Bravo and Rosemary's wedding between Johnny Swinger and Fallah Bahh. This match was quick. It only went about, the whole segment and all only went about 5 minutes, maybe a wee bit after. It was just quite, you know, Swinger was being cocky, Fallah Bahh's huge. Eventually the Swinger sort of ran distraction because all the rest of the groom's party were like surrounding the ring. And he ran over, got the ref to be distracted. He picked up Crazy Steve's monkey, hit Fallah Bahh in the head with it, pinned him. But then after the match, Bravo got on the mic and said, look, you're a bad ref. Everyone could see that he hit him with the monkey, restart the match. And then Fallah Bahh ran across the ring at Swinger, who was in the corner, crushed him, banzai drop or whatever he calls it, and won. And they got backstage. Swinger wasn't happy. But he was like, look, I'm only here because the referee was piss poor. This is my wedding. You're all still on the groom's party, but I wasn't having that. And that was weird. But it's building more hype for the wedding, which I'm very excited for. And I like Fallah Bahh, and I want to see how he's dressed to be the best man. Oh, it's going to be great. There was a backstage segment with Rohit talking about how at Victory Road he is offering the Defeat Rohit Challenge. I'm assuming for the X Division Championship. It's an open challenge to anyone. And then over walked TJP, who I went on my rant about why he shouldn't be involved at these closed set tapings last week. But on top of that, he's just not a likeable man. He's a very unlikable person. And he walked over with some very clearly unscripted lines that he thought were funny, and they really weren't, and it was painful. But then thankfully Rohit said, look, you've had your shot, Chris Bay's had a shot, and Trey's had a shot. So, none of you three can answer the Defeat Rohit Challenge at Victory Road. And then he walked away, and then TJP said, wow, I've never been rejected before. I guess I'll cry and watch The Notebook or something. Ha 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 ha, and walked away, because that's how he sounds. He's not fucking entertaining. He's not likeable. I don't like him. He just aggravates me, and I don't want him to be in a big like X Division cluster match at Bound for Glory. I really don't. Don't want him to be on Bound for Glory. I don't want him to be on any tapings that haven't already been taped until we're in the clear with coronavirus, and even at that, just don't have him on your show. Same with Flip Gordon. I was gonna say same with Austin Aries, but he doesn't get booked anyway. Eddie Edwards then came to the ring to try and work out who beat him up last week at the end of the show, and he called out Eric Young. But then Sami Callihan sort of like music or his little thing hit, and then he was on the ramp sitting on a chair, and Eddie was like, look, it makes sense that it's you, come to the ring. Sami Callihan was sat there with his phone, and he was like, nah, I'm not going to do that. I've been saying for years I can change everything with the push of a button. Do you want to see who beat you up? Do you want to see who attacked you last week? Cool. Pressed the button on his phone, lights went off, lights came back up, Ken Shamrock was in the ring, and Ken Shamrock just leathered Eddie Edwards. Big old head kick. I was wearing some wild jean shorts, some like absolutely wild, they really were like the Affliction jacket of jorts. But it's Ken Shamrock, he can really do what he wants. So he kicked Eddie Edwards in the head, and then ground and pound, and then put him on an ankle lock. And Madison Rayne and Josh Matthews kept saying, you know, he's got his world title rematch on Saturday at Victory Road against Eric Young. Will he even be able to make it, because his ankle is now all sorts of fucked up because Ken Shamrock had that bad boy locked in for a while. But we'll wait and see. We'll need to see this weekend how he does. Now, I'm glad that we've got the world's most dangerous tag team back. I'm glad that Sami Callihan is being more heel. I like them as a tag team. I really like Sami Callihan. Ken Shamrock just makes me laugh. So, yeah. Then we see Susie standing in front of a mirror just being vacant and creepy. And Kylie Ray walks over and she's like, Susie, hello, it's me, it's your best friend. It's me, Kylie, your best friend. You know me, Kylie Ray, your best friend? And Susie's like, listen, I don't want to wrestle Deanna, because are you going to be mad if I beat her? Because you're my best friend. And she's like, nope, if if you beat her, you know, it'd be great for me to beat Deonna, but also, if you beat her, I get to wrestle my best friend on pay-per-view. And gave her some kick pads as a present, and said, I think it was, your time is coming, or your time has come, or your time will come. Something like that. And then that set off the sort of Sue Young music, and she looked at herself in the mirror and was being even more creepy. And that led into the main event of the night, the North versus Ace Austin and Madman Fulton. And let me just say this, first of all, Ethan Page is the most entertaining man maybe in the world. At one point, he's trying to beat up Madman Fulton, but he can't because he's too big. So he jumps on his back to try and choke him out, and Fulton just starts swinging around. And he's just left his legs. He's not like hooked his legs around, so his legs are just like spinning around him as Fulton tries to spin him off, and it's great. Obviously, the North are one of the best tag teams in the world. Ace and Fulton are also very, very good. And they just had a very good match. It was sort of heel v heel, but because there's no crowd, that worked a lot more. And this match would have worked in front of a crowd as well, because they just genuinely don't like each other. But I really, really, really like this match. The North eventually did pick up the win by just being, you know, the better tag team. It was a great match though. Like, towards the end, the North double clotheslined Fulton out of the ring, and as he just landed on his feet, got back up, and then Ethan Page threw Josh Alexander into a low crossbody right into Sawyer Fulton's knees. Or like just before the finish, it looked brutal. And then Ace Austin went for like a sort of springing in like kick, but then just got hit with a absolute barrage of moves from the pair of them. And then eventually they were able to put him away with their like finisher, like sort of wheelbarrow slam thing. And it was great. It was such a good match. Then after the match, the Good Brothers came out and got jumped by Ace Austin and Sawyer Fulton. And the North started joining the leathering. And then the Motorcycle Machine Guns came out and evened the odds. And then the show went off the air without a little bit at the end, like they usually have. Like when Moose found EC3's lair, or last week when Eddie Edwards got jumped, the show just went off the air with the big scrap, which I like. And this is what I would rather see going into Bound for Glory. Because Good Brothers are obviously going to win those titles down the line. But I don't know if I want them to win them just yet, mainly because the Motorcycle Machine Guns have just won them. So if they do a 4-corner, you know, one fall to a finish, and I know Ethan Page's contract's up in January, and All Elite Wrestling are courting him very heavily, so maybe even have him, you know, take the pin in this match, or Ace Austin or Sawyer Fulton, have one of them take the pin in this match. And then, you know, the next pay-per-view, whether that's it's probably like January or February, I think Retribution in February probably, then have the title then go on to the Good Brothers there. But whatever happens, I'll be okay with it, because the tag team division is so incredibly stacked in Impact. And hopefully we know more details about Bound for Glory and what we're getting in, or what we're getting for the show soon. So yeah, that was Impact this week, and you know, I would say it was a very, very good show. Definitely building a lot of hype for Bound for Glory. The only downside, it doesn't build a lot of hype for Victory Road. But also, I think because Victory Road is like an Impact Plus special, they're not wanting to put that much up, maybe? I don't know. It was weird. It built a lot more hype for a pay-per-view in like 5 weeks or 4 weeks or however long it is. A lot more than it did for the pay-per-view or for the like special event that's this weekend. But Victory Road's still going to be good. You've got the Eddie Edwards and Eric Young match. You've got Deonna Purrazzo and Susie. You've got the unsanctioned match between Reno Scum and Heath and Rhino. So overall, yeah, it was a good show. I would usually give it an 8, but because there is a show this weekend that, like I said, didn't do a lot of building for, I'll give it a 7. Still a very good show, but just with the context of Victory Road being this weekend, it loses a point for me. So yeah, that was this week's Impact review. I hope you enjoyed. I hope, you know, if you watched Impact and you thought some things differently, let me know what you thought was different, what you thought was better, what you thought was worse. Please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. There will be more content coming out weekly. 2 videos a week at least. Wednesday morning, or Wednesday, Thursday, talking about Impact and AEW, talking about pay-per-views and big shows as they come. More wrestling discussions. Podcast will return soon. So yeah, obviously he's back here next week and tomorrow, and yeah, see you next time.